everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video I'm going to be talking to you guys about why I stopped doing hair and why I stopped working in a hair salon. So if this is something that you're interested in, please keep watching. So this is something that I've been asked a lot in the past few years. Anybody that knows me knows that I grew up loving to do hair, and it's always been a passion of mine. So when I stopped, I think a lot of people were kind of confused. So actually, as of today, when I'm filming this, I started beauty school 9 years ago to this day, which is kind of crazy because I thought this out before I even realized that. But yeah, I just kind of want to get into why I stopped working in the salon and the reasons that I no longer enjoy doing hair. So when I was in beauty school, I liked it, but there was a lot that I realized probably halfway through that I really didn't enjoy, and I really just started to dread to go to cosmetology school. I grew up thinking that this was what I wanted to do. It was either do hair or be a psychologist, and when it came down to it, beauty school is a lot cheaper and it's 1,500 hours as opposed to many years in college. So right out of high school, I started cosmetology school and met a lot of amazing friends, some friends I'm still friends with. I love the people I got to meet through there. But yeah, I noticed about halfway through that I just stopped feeling a passion for it, and I would really just kind of dread going to school every day. And I was never good in school, but I always liked going every day. So this was kind of newer for me. So I graduated cosmetology school and took my written exam, and then I actually waited a while to take my practical because I just wasn't excited to do hair at that point. And I was working in some other different jobs that I really liked. I was actually working at a bar at this time and really enjoyed it, made really good money. And then I thought, okay, yeah, it's time. I need to just take my test and then get into my career. So I took my test and ended up getting a job shortly after that. And I worked there for 2 years, I think. And after starting, you know, I realized there was a lot I still had to learn. If you're a cosmetologist, you know that you learn the basics and you learn a lot about sanitation. And there's a lot that you don't find out and don't learn until you actually work into a salon. Like for instance, doing men's hair, we really didn't learn anything. I think we learned maybe on a mannequin and maybe practiced on an actual client. I can't even remember. But I didn't know how to do men's hair very well when I got in the salon, so I learned everything about that there. And then that was my favorite thing to do, which is really funny. But shortly after working in the salon, I did not like it. And I kind of knew that from the beginning, but I'm like, okay, well, this is what I went to school for. This is, you know, I paid for schooling for this. This is what I thought was going to be my career for the rest of my life. So I'm just going to stick it out. I'm just going to do it. So while I will say I learned a lot from that salon and that experience in general, I very quickly realized that this was not the industry that I wanted to be in. Hairstylists do not get enough credit, especially now with everything going on. Being a hairstylist is very physically, emotionally draining, demanding. I mean, you're on your feet all day long. You talk to people all day long, which I like, but in a way, you're kind of their therapist also. And people will talk to you about things that you don't necessarily want to hear about and that aren't necessarily appropriate. And for me, the salon I started at, it was good as far as learning goes, but it was not a good atmosphere, and the clientele was not the kind of clientele that I would want necessarily. So I did not have a good experience, and looking back, I probably would have started somewhere else. It was good for the basics, learning the basics, but I was actually hourly plus tips. There's a lot of different ways you can go about it. If you build your clientele, you can actually rent a station, and then you pay for that station. There's some other different ways that you can go about it. But yeah, mine was hourly plus tips, which I did make decent money. But granted, when I started, I was still working at the bar. So I would work at the bar from like 9 till 3:30 a.m. and then go into work that Saturday or that Sunday at 7:30 in the morning. So I was shot. I was mentally just and physically just drained. So shortly after I met my now husband, I decided to quit the bar. I wasn't working as many shifts anyway, and it was just too demanding for me. And I had started my career, so I was kind of done with that. So I stopped working there and then was working at the salon full time. So when I had first interviewed at the salon, the manager that was working there was great. I loved her. But then she ended up moving to a different salon. This was a chain salon, by the way. And then so we had hired someone new. I get along with almost everybody. I was not a fan of my new manager. So I kind of started off this job on the wrong foot. But she just was not a good manager. And I had had several jobs before, so I know what it's like to work with people. And, you know, you just have to get through your day and just work with them. To give you a little bit of insight, I was up for a raise at this time. And so she took me out for breakfast. It was actually on my birthday. And then we had my review. And then she didn't give me a raise. So my birthday, no raise. Took me out for lunch. It was just very confusing. And that kind of gives you some insight. And I was definitely deserving of a raise. I worked my butt off, if that explains it at all. So then she eventually quit, and then I got a different manager, and things were better from there. But I just kind of knew like this wasn't the salon for me. This wasn't the place for me. And I started feeling anxious every single day. I had a little bit of a drive to get there every day, and I would have anxiety the whole drive to work, to the point that it was starting to make me feel like physically sick. And so I really had to think about it. I'm like, is it my specific salon, or am I lacking the passion for my job? And so I really sat down and thought about it. And each day I'd worked in the salon, I was like, okay, what is it about it that I'm not liking? Is it my coworkers, which I got along with my coworkers? Is it the clients? Is it just the location? Is it where I'm working? Or is it the actual art of doing hair? So the more I did it, the more I realized that it was not bringing me happiness. I really just felt anxious with doing hair in general. You know, people can be very demanding, which you'll find that in any job. And I was aware of that. I'd worked in retail and bar industry, so I was very aware of that. But when you're doing someone's hair, they're trusting you with the way they look every single day. It doesn't sound like a lot, but to a stylist who is very critical of the way they work anyway, and making sure everybody's happy, and already being somebody who's a people pleaser, if somebody was like, didn't love the way something turned out, I would carry that with me through the rest of the day. And I'd feel terrible, and I'd think about it like, oh, what could I have done differently? So it was just a lot on me. I would just take that home with me and think about it all night, and like have trouble going to bed over it. And you know, with Pinterest and like Instagram and Photoshop, there's a lot of hair colors that you can see that are photoshopped that people will come in with, and they're like, oh, this is what I want. They want something that's platinum blonde when they have jet black hair. Some people don't understand that it is a process to get your hair to that point. And where I was specifically working, people didn't want to listen to you or buy the products you were offering to help their hair. They just weren't spending the money to do those things. So it felt so pointless trying to push product on them and give them advice on their hair, make it look beautiful, and then they'd come back and it was trashed again, ultimately. That was a struggle for me. And, you know, I wasn't at the most upscale salon, so that could have been part of it too. You know, I probably should have known when I was in beauty school, when I realized that I didn't have the passion for it that I thought I did. Growing up, I always liked to do my friend's hair. I always loved to do my hair. I love styling hair, but I didn't realize till I was actually in the field that it was not for me. And so I had to make the hard decision to leave my career and start over, like find something else. At this point I was like, what am I gonna do now? So I was done with that job and I was like, okay, so what am I gonna do now? So I was actually gonna be a flight attendant. I was in flight attendant training, and then that was something that I had always wanted to do. And so the opportunity came up, I applied, got the job, started training. I was in training for 2 months. I honestly can't remember at this point. And then I found out that you'd only get paid for when you were actually flying in the air. And this was a regional company, so you'd only be in the air for a couple hours. So the drive to and from work, sitting in the airport, being laid over, like you wouldn't get paid for any of that. So I was like, shoot, I can't do this. And my husband actually proposed to me shortly after that. And I was like, oh, I don't want to be away from him all the time anyway. So scratch that. I ended up back in retail, and then after retail, I started my job where I'm at now. I've been at for over 2 years in the finance world, and I actually really like it, and I've been happy ever since. So it's crazy the direction your life can change to. But if I have any advice to give somebody who's struggling with this, with doing hair or really any career, it's just follow your gut, follow your instincts, follow your heart. You're not going to love every job, every career you're in, but you have to be okay with going in every day and doing your job and putting in the effort to do a good job. And if you are absolutely miserable, that's going to carry over into your life. And that's what this job was doing. So I would say, no matter how old you are, it's never too late to find what you love. Just go for it. You know, if you need to go to school for a long time for it, but it's something that you really love to do, just do it. Who knows if I had just gone to school to be a psychologist where I'd be now. But it's never too late. So just follow your heart, follow your passions, follow your dreams, and put in the work and do what you love. Alright guys, well, that's it for today's video. If you have any questions about becoming a hairstylist or just anything else that I talked about in this video, leave a comment down below. Be sure to like and share this video if you enjoyed, give it a thumbs up, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And I will see you guys in my next video.